Attention, I'd like to call this meeting of the County Commissioners to order. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could remain standing for just a moment, I'd like to have a moment of silence. And it's with great sadness that I share the passing of a dear seasonal employee, Ms. Vanessa Maddox. She was a valued member of our team and touched the lives of so many children in our community. She worked our after-school program at Garnett and our Kiddie Camp summer program for over 20 years. So if we could keep her and her family and her in our prayers. Thank you very much. We have a list of consent items that I'll go down, and for those that may not know, these are just items that have really already been approved. We're just going to make it official. We have our regular session minutes dated January the 28th, 2025. We have our liquor minutes dated January the 28th, 2025. We have our closed session minutes dated January the 28th, 2025. We have an employee contract that's been approved. We have the Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company is requesting a combination multiple gaming device raffle, which is dated March the 15th, 2025. And we have Chestertown Garden Club has applied to have a raffle on April the 1st through May the 2nd, 2025. So, do I have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
No questions, Mr. President, but before I make a motion on this, I would like the folks at home and the folks here in the audience to know that Commissioner Nickerson could not be here tonight. He is watching potentially remotely, and if he doesn't, he will be looking at the meeting when he gets back. So,
very good.
So I would like to make a motion to approve all 6 of the consent items as presented.
And I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we have public hearing. So I need a motion to go into legislative session.
I'll make a motion that we go into legislative session.
Public hearing, excuse me, not legislative session, public
I'll make a
hearing.
motion that we go into the open public hearing.
And I'll second that. I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will conduct our public hearing. Those of you, anyone that wants to testify for or against this text amendment, I don't know whether there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and would probably be better. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to testify, but if you could sign that sign-up sheet, that would probably be good. But nevertheless, we actually have two public hearings today. So I guess what we ought to do is anyone that's going to testify actually testify, like the applicant or anybody that's going to testify on this one about the Fox Hunting Club dog kennel. It's Code Home Rule 9-2024. Probably should stand up and I'll read this oath, and if you could all stand and raise your right hand if you intend on testifying. Everybody stand, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly promise or swear under penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before us shall be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Ms. Carla, you want to come up? Carla is our planning director for tonight, and she's going to explain the text amendment to us.
So what you have before you is a text amendment to the land use ordinance that would add a new accessory use to the Resource Conservation District on farms for a dog kennel fox hunting club, and it also adds a new definition to define what is meant by a dog kennel for a fox hunting club. The Planning Commission has reviewed this application and forwarded a favorable recommendation, finding that it was consistent with the comprehensive plan and supported of multiple goals and strategies. And the Agricultural Advisory Commission also reviewed this text amendment and forwarded a favorable recommendation as well.
Carla, let me interrupt you for just a minute. Generally, we have our attorney here, and he's absent tonight, so I'm going to work us through this, but I ought to read the bill in its entirety. It says Code Home Rule Bill Number 9-2024, introduced by Ronald H. Fithian, President of the Board of County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland. An act to amend Chapter 222, zoning of the Code of Public Local Laws of Kent County, Maryland, also known as the Kent County Land Use Ordinance, in order to add a new land use and to permit said new land use in a single district as an accessory use by adding dog kennel fox hunting club to Article Roman numeral 5, District Regulations, Section 2, Resource Conservation District, 2.4A, accessory uses, 2, by adding a definition for dog kennel fox hunting club to Article Roman numeral 11, definitions, Section 2, definitions, by including one non-codified provision and by providing for an effective date related to the required critical area commission review and approval of the zoning text per Maryland Code and Natural Resources, as the same may be amended from time to time. The hearing scheduled for January the 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. has been rescheduled and will be held on February the 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Commissioner's Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr., Kent County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. The agenda for the meeting will be published online 24 hours in advance of the meeting at www.kentcounty.com/commissioners/meeting-agenda. Citizens are encouraged to participate in the public hearing process. If you require communication assistance, please contact the County Commissioner's Office at 410-778-4600 and press 4 or visit Maryland Relay at www.marylandrelay.org no later than noon on Friday, January the 31st, 2025. A complete copy of the proposed legislative bill is available in the Commissioner's Office, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. by order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Sandra M. Blackston, Clerk, and it was published in the Kent County News on January the 23rd, 2025, and January the 30th, 2025. And just to jump ahead a little bit, we'll have our public hearing. There will be no decision made at the end of this public hearing, and you will have till Friday, the close of business, this coming Friday, for written comments. If anybody that wasn't able to attend or something else you wanted to say, and you can put it in writing and have it to our office by the close of business on Friday. Now, being as I've read that and it makes no sense, maybe you can explain to us what it all means.
So as I had started by saying, this is adding a new accessory use that would be only allowed on farms, which are properties over 20 acres in the Resource Conservation District. The use does have a couple of recommended standards, and this is to allow for a commercial, what we would consider essentially a commercial dog kennel specific to fox hunting clubs. And the specific conditions that would be required is that the kennels are 200 feet from any side or rear property line or in an existing building, and that the waste is properly managed. The definition that is proposed goes into very specifically define what is meant by a fox hunting club dog kennel, and that is the keeping of hounds owned by the fox hunting club for the purpose of participating in the sport of fox chasing, breeding of hounds to perpetuate the sport of fox chasing, and training the hounds for the sport of fox chasing. And as I noted, the Planning Commission did find that the application and request was consistent with the comprehensive plan, as did the Agricultural Advisory Commission, which reviewed the application because it does potentially affect agricultural operations.
Part of the building where the foxhounds are going to be kenneled, are they within that 200 feet requirement
The,
of the property
Well,
line?
for the location that sort of generated this application, and I will say again that the text amendment would apply to any properties in the Resource Conservation District. But for the specific location that prompted this application, the existing building is less than 200 feet from the side and rear property lines. I believe it is approximately 100 feet.
So do we have the authority, the planning and zoning folks, to provide an exemption for that particular
Well, the way the legislation is written, an exemption wouldn't be required because it's going into an existing building. So if the,
so it's kind of grandfathered in?
correct. So if commercial kennels in most other districts require a 200-foot setback, and if somebody could not meet that in other zoning districts, they would have to get a variance. In this particular situation, trying to kind of work in tandem with the applicant, we decided that we could make it the 200 feet or in an existing building so that it would make it a little easier for them to move forward, if obviously you adopt this text amendment.
Thank you.
And I guess just so we have it in the record, I'll read that letter that we received from the Planning Commission. It says, "The Honorable Ronald H. Fithian, President, Kent County Board of County Commissioners, zoning text amendment regarding dog kennel fox hunting club. Dear President Fithian, at its meeting on November the 7th, 2024, the Planning Commission reviewed an application by Wycomico Hunt Club Incorporated for a zoning text amendment to amend the Kent County Land Use Ordinance to include dog kennel fox hunting club as a permitted use on farms in RCD. Following its discussion, the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to provide a favorable recommendation to the county commissioners to amend Article 5 of the district regulations to allow dog kennel fox hunting clubs on farms in the Resource Conservation District, and also amend Article 11, which would read as follows: dog kennel fox hunting clubs, keeping of hounds owned by Fox Hunting Club for the purpose of participating in the sport of fox chasing, breeding of hounds to perpetuate the sport of fox chasing, training the hounds of the sport of fox chasing, in addition to making sure that the kennels also have a 200-foot setback from the side or rear lot line, or are in an existing building, that the waste is managed properly. It's found that this is in sync with the comprehensive plan and supporting natural and cultural historic features of Kent County. Signed, Kent County Planning Commission, Joe Hickman, Chairman. Okay, so I guess now we should hear from the applicant.
There is another letter, if you
From the
want
ag,
to put it into the record.
the, let me see if I got it here.
I'm looking for it too.
Bear with us a little bit because we're dealing with a new setup on these our computers, so and we're not we're not doing real well, but here we go. This is from the Agriculture Advisory Commission, Department of Planning, Housing, and Zoning. The Honorable Ronald H. Fithian, President, Kent County Board of Commissioners, zoning text amendment regarding dog kennel fox hunting club. Dear President Fithian, at its meeting on November the 26th, 2024, the Agricultural Advisory Commission reviewed an application for a zoning text amendment to amend the Kent County Land Use Ordinance to add dog kennel fox hunting club. Following discussion, the Agricultural Advisory Commission recommended favorably, citing its agreement with the Planning Commission's recommendation. If you have any questions, kindly contact a team member with the Department of Planning, Housing, and Zoning. Sincerely, Jennifer Debnam, Chair. Okay. Now we can call the applicant up and Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Genevieve McFarland with Stevens Palmer on behalf of Wicomico Hunt Club. Tonight I have Ed Fry, who is joining us via Zoom. I have Eden Klutzley to my right, and I have a whole bunch of members and friends of the Hunt Club here in support as well. As you know, we're here tonight to ask for your adoption of the zoning text amendment to allow fox hunting kennels in the Resource Conservation District, or the RCD, as you'll hear us call it. To give you a little context of why we decided to move forward with this, just a really brief overview, and Mr. Fry is certainly going to get into it a little more than I will, but Wicomico Hunt Club, although called Wicomico, is largely based in Kent County. Many of the folks here tonight are also landowners, business owners, and members of the club. Wicomico prides itself on keeping dues low so that we can be accessible to the average equestrian. And by doing that, the club has to do certain things like lease property. The club has identified Ms. Klutzley as our next huntsman, who is the person that takes care of the hounds, exercises them, feeds them, and takes them out hunting, of course, most importantly. When identifying Ms. Klutzley as the next huntsman, it made sense that her property up in Wharton was the best place to keep the hounds, to establish her livelihood, to be able to have the hounds right there to keep a close eye on everything as well. This property is located at 12474 Barrett Farm Road in Wharton. When we began planning the permitting process of building the kennels on this property, it was discovered that the property is mostly in the RCD zone that does not allow commercial dog kennels as a use. Accordingly, we reached out to Planning and Zoning and worked with them to figure out the best way forward. Kent County doesn't allow use variances, as you know, so the next best option was to go forward with the zoning text amendment, and that's why we're here today. If this zoning text amendment is adopted, the Hunt Club will have its home base in Kent County, which will contribute to the comprehensive plan's goal of maintaining and strengthening natural resource and working lands-based industries, preserving agritourism, and expanding the tourism that's based in Kent County's unique cultural and historic features. You'll hear in testimony from Mr. Fry and from Ms. Klutzley a little more detail about the plans and about the club. And I don't know if Ed can hear me, but okay, I would like to turn it over to him to give his testimony.
Are you there, Ed?
Again. Can you hear me now, Ron?
Yes, I can, Ed. Clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I was not able to be personally present tonight, but I am one of two masters of the Wicomico Hunt Club, a club that has been in existence for 96 years. And we try to have our 100 members active in the club, participate in all our activities. And one of our proud moments was about 5 years ago, we got a National Conservation Award for conservation of agricultural farmland that was available for fox chasing. And I say fox chasing because we're not trying to kill the fox. I like to call it a non-consumptive sport. And we are one of 140 member in the National Master of Foxhound Association, which is headquartered in Middleburg, Virginia. As I focus in on what we're doing now, approximately 25% of our 100 members live in Kent County. And our age group spans from 12 years of age to over 80 years of age. And I would like to emphasize, we had two new members that got membership for Christmas. Both of them were 12-year-olds, and both of them live in Kent County, and their parents have farmland in Kent County. As a club, we interact with the pony clubs. We interact with the Washington College Equestrian Program. And we are currently, when we chase foxes, we are currently using 15 different properties in Kent County as we speak. And so it has a presence in the county. It has a long history in the county, and it's our goal to have our kennels in Kent County instead of, right now, they're in Queen Anne County. So that's the extent of what I was going to offer tonight.
Very good. Thank you for that testimony. Do you have anyone else that you were going to speak on your behalf?
Yes, so I have with me Eden Klutzley, who is the property owner of the property that prompted this zoning text amendment, and Wicomico's next huntsman. So Eden, if you want to tell us a little bit about the property and the setup and address any concerns that might come up.
Sure. So the last time that I saw you guys, Commissioner Price, I think you specifically expressed how you wanted to see that the neighborhood knew about the project that we had going on and what our plans were and what we were hoping to do. So I took that advice and I made my best effort to reach out to my neighbors via email. I contacted who I believe is the HOA head of the East Kentfield neighborhood, and I had a nice phone Chris Whitney, I believe is his name, and I had a nice phone conversation with him, and I shared with him what our goals were, and of course, one of the main thoughts that some neighbors have brought up is what's the noise level going to be like, because that's what you think about when you think of a group of dogs together, and I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of other hunt clubs in this area and in Maryland specifically. And I've learned from their leadership the methods that they use to minimize any noise. And I will start by saying that a group of hounds makes probably about the same amount of noise as a large herd of cattle might make, believe it or not. So if you're used to living in farmland, then you're probably used to that amount of sound coming from animals anyway. And there are extra methods that we use to minimize any noise that might happen. The kennel will be fully insulated. I will say that where the kennel currently is in Centerville, the times that I have stayed there to care for them, which has been often over the past 7 years, I cannot hear the hounds from the house, which is about 200 yards from the kennel. So if they are carrying on inside the kennel and I couldn't hear them. I also have seen really effective hedges at like cedar trees and things like that that we have put into our budget to implement into this project. And that helps to minimize any noise. There are also sound panels because I genuinely do care about my neighbors. And I love where I live. And I know that everyone that lives around me feels the same. That's why they live there. So I really wanted to put myself in their shoes and think about what they might be wondering this project could entail. And in terms of any smell or anything, I know sometimes they might think about what kind of smell any farm will produce. And it's an extraordinarily sanitary workspace. It is power washed and sanitized every single day. Being a part of this national organization, we of course have many standards that we uphold. And I'll end by saying these hounds have the pleasure of doing what they were born and bred to do. So they're extraordinarily happy. They get to spend every day exercising and being in groups, which dogs love, and they get to go fox chasing, which is an incredible thing for them because that's what they were bred and basically live for. So a happy dog is a quiet dog as well. So I
The
know.
fox runs through there.
Yeah, right. Well, somehow I feel like there won't be too many foxes
I'm
hanging out
I'm
around the
joking.
kennel. They might be.
I was just joking with you.
Oh, yeah, no. I
And Eden,
enjoyed that.
if you want to maybe describe the setup of the farm and where the
Of course.
plan is for the kennels?
Sure. So the existing building is nestled down in what I would call like a hollow. And we actually are, there's some rolling hills that sort of separate the Woods Road and East Kentfield neighborhood, and there's a large corn or bean field, depending on the year, in between that. And there is on 3 sides of the building, very mature forest, and so that also helps to kind of insulate the area. And it is contained down in that space, and it's off the road as well. And so in addition to the positioning of it in a nice quiet area, they also won't have things to bark at. You know, there won't be, they can't see people going by or cars driving by, because it is a nice quiet road. I know people like to walk their dogs down the road, and it won't be an issue because they can't even see Barrett Farm Road from where that building is positioned.
And I know in the proposed legislation, it says one of the conditions is that waste will be properly managed. Is there a plan for that as well?
That's correct. So there is currently a stable and operating septic holding tank that was used in the cattle operation when it had beef cattle there. And we will pump that out once a month. And so the waste will be properly managed, which is important to me, and I'm sure any other legislature, because it's in a particularly because it's in a critical area. So that waste will not go anywhere except into a truck that takes it somewhere.
Well, thank you for that testimony.
Thank you.
As you recalled, at our last meeting, I did have questions about the noise level.
Yes.
Because just down the road from there's a couple of residential areas, plus there's waterfront homes in the area, and I was concerned that, are these folks aware of what might be coming? And I wanted to, and I applaud you for what you did as far as getting hold of the HOA president to share the information. Not sure what to expect from that at this point, but I just wanted to make sure that the residents, and I know a lot of the residents that live there, were actually fully aware of what's coming. I certainly am not against fox chasing. I think it's a sport that has a lot of history with it. I find it very patriotic and American, and so it's not that I'm against fox hunting, and I'm not making a decision at this point because I have to hear everyone's testimony and review their emails as they come into us for comments. I do have a question that I debated whether I was going to ask you or not, but I think it's important to be transparent and open. You currently have a couple of pets, from what I understand, foxhounds, yourself.
I do. I have one foxhound right now.
Okay.
Yes. His name is Buster. He's about 15.
Butler, right? Okay. Look, I have a dog myself. It's not a foxhound, although sometimes she acts like a foxhound.
Sure.
She likes to play and hunt and do different things. But and as a commissioner sitting here, whenever I have an issue that comes before us, I do my very best to look into it. I've been by your property, looked at it. I don't know if you saw me out there or not, but I was there looking to see exactly what you had going on there.
Sure.
But I also, because of my background, I have a tendency to really research and investigate.
Yes.
the incident or the issue. And in doing that, there were some Facebook posts where Butler and other animals, foxhounds. Utah was one, I think, from years ago.
Utah lives on High Street now, yeah.
Yeah, she found a nice couch to stay on. Yes.
Jigsaw. So I saw these Facebook posts that, where they had either went out hunting and hadn't returned
Sure.
or were missing. In other words, you couldn't find them, and you asked the community, for help, which I
Right.
applaud you for that. Everyone wants our dogs back home safely. But I know there's been instances maybe where these animals, these pets, have gotten loose, and I'm a little concerned about that. Especially when you are talking about a number of foxhounds that well exceed 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that they'll be running on other people's property and
Sure, yeah.
and interfering with whatever they might be interfering with. I'm also worried about the safety associated with that. And I wanted to ask you what type of, and I'm sure, look, there's no doubt in my mind, your club does everything they can to make sure that the dog stays healthy, is, vaccinated, everything. So I'm just wondering how exactly does that work?
Sure. Well, I am really glad that you asked that because, again, if I saw a post like that and then someone said, yes, I'm going to have a bunch more of these dogs at my house, and I think, are they going to be running around all the time?
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, see, that's his mugshot right there, Buster.
This is Butler.
That's his
This is Butler.
mugshot. Yes.
Can we put the Buster mugshot in the record?
Yeah, can we please? So Buster did go on a walkabout when I first brought him home. That's the post that I'm referring to. And I will say that was due to my inexperience in having a foxhound at home. I was thinking, he loves me, he won't go anywhere. Then I believe that was I think that was last summer of '23, I believe, when that happened. And he went into the woods and kind of followed the shoreline, and I did end up finding him a neighbor down on Kinnard's Point. He is the friendliest dog in the world, so he's easily kidnapped. So he spent the night in their garage. But the other hounds went missing while we were hunting, and so we utilized Facebook in certain groups in areas like Utah. That was down in southern Maryland, and we're not familiar with that area, and her tracking collar had stopped working. So many of us stayed behind that day and also posted on Facebook so we could find her and bring her home. And she lives in Chestertown now, so she was recovered. But
I asked council if I could bring her to the meeting tonight. I was told no,
But regardless, over the years, I have learned a lot about foxhound behavior, and as much as they love you, they are still foxhounds. So the only times that they are out of their enclosure is when they are going on their exercise walks. And that would be with myself in attendance and also people helping me. And so we walk them as a pack, probably in the horse pastures on my farm, or we would take them somewhere to one of our hunting fixtures and walk them and exercise them. That would be during the summer when they are not going on their formal fox chases. So there would not be instances where they would just be loose at my farm. And that happened with Buster because I was inexperienced with having one living in my house. These hounds won't be living in my house. They'll be living in their own space, which is very well contained, and they have a very structured day. So that's how I would address that. And, we do take precautions when they are hunting. They won't be hunting near my farm, But when we take them somewhere, they all wear Garmin tracking collars, and every once in a while, one might stop working, but knock on wood, we've never not recovered a hound. So we do take it very seriously, and I also, as a neighbor, you know, having seen dogs that have gotten loose and ended up on my farm, you know, I understand the importance of being a responsible pet owner, and when you have a group of them, it's extra important. So, and it's my livelihood, it's my job and my profession, and I take it very seriously. And I take the experience that I've gained over the past 7 or 8 years, and I stand behind that. And those experiences with our little criminals, Buster and Utah, have taught me
There's always one. isn't there?
there's one in every crowd.
Every pack.
We're constantly counting. So I do appreciate you asking that question, though, yes.
And look, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
No,
It's just
not
that
at all.
I feel in my position, sitting in this chair, that transparency and openness and, you know, the honest truth is what we should be striving for, so.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And that's why I did my best to reach out to my neighbors, because I genuinely wanted to know what they thought and wanted them to be informed. And
Just out of curiosity, how
Yes,
many
sir.
hounds will you have?
Approximately 40,
40?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
yes. The girls live together and the boys live together, and they,
What's that all?
wow. When a girl dog and a boy dog. But yes, approximately, around that number.
I got you.
But there will be some breeding going on.
Yes, the only breeding that occurs is to perpetuate the continuance of that 40 number. Because every year we have hounds that age out, that retire, and like Buster in Utah, go to live on couches. And we have to then enter new, younger hounds that learn the sport. So we do not sell them, we do not breed massive amounts, maybe 1 litter a year tops, and those hounds, you know, remain in the sport of fox hunting.
Now, do you keep all of those puppies, or do you?
Several of them are usually what we call drafting out. So maybe a few of that litter might get drafted to a nearby hunt club in Baltimore County or so. And that is to diversify the bloodlines in each pack. So someone at, you know, Green Spring Valley Hunt Club might say, hey, I really like that Buster hound of yours.
I don't think they're going to
They
say
might, yeah, Buster's a
trouble.
little naughty, so they might not go for that, but, yeah,
Yeah, he's trouble, I can tell you.
he is trouble.
So because I don't know, the number in the letter, is it similar to that of a Labrador?
Yes, it is, yep, so it could be
Could be
any,
8, 10, 6.
sure, could be anywhere from 1 to 8. Similar to a large breed dog, a lab, Chesapeake, anything like that, similar numbers. But we do not breed just for the sake of breeding. It's very selective, you know.
Very good. Any other further questions, John?
Not right now.
Okay. Anyone else that
I learned a lot.
you need to needs to testify in favor of the application before we go to? If not, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could just, you know, wrap it up really, really quickly here. You know, through testimony, you've heard that this isn't going to be an intensification of the use of this property in the critical area. It was a cattle farm before. Although this zoning text amendment is for the entire RCD, you know, clearly we have an intention behind introducing it. The proposed amendment that has come along with staff's recommendation and through the planning commission would give an opportunity to build these kennels in Kent County and bring the base of fox chasing back to Kent County. It will provide jobs, it will provide recreation for a lot of folks, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan in all of those regards. So certainly happy to answer any questions if you have anything further. If not, we'll step down.
Thank you.
Just real quick, you said jobs. Are you planning on hiring some folks to help you with this promotion, or?
No, nothing on a full-time basis. You know, if I go on vacation, which never happens, but if I were to, I might, say, hey, Kara, can you stay at the farm for
There's enough
3
people.
days? Yes,
Clubs that can
yes.
So, Eden will be a full-time employee of the club, and it will be her career, so, yeah, that's where I was
I
coming
am
from
the
there.
sole employee of Wycomico Hunt Club, so.
Is it too late to add something to that?
Ca-
I'm an associate master with Wycomico Hunt Club. Essentially, I'm an apprentice master, like what Ed.
Can you state your name for the record?
Kara Godak.
And could you move closer to the microphone? Thank you.
I would like to state that a lot of other fox hunting clubs that have a larger membership do hire more professional staff. And our goal is to get as much membership as possible. And I'm not saying that, next year we may hire professional staff, but as we continue to grow and really have an established location, it is a possibility that we would have more full-time staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
well, right now I have 3 people that have signed up to speak. I think the first one is Sean Maloney.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
If I could, able to present exhibits to the commissioners? Thank you. So, simple. I apologize for the size of the binders, but that's what we'll do. So, Commissioners, my name is Sean Maloney. I appreciate your time here tonight. A little background on me. I'm a lifelong Kent County resident, a 2006 graduate of Kent County High School, a 2010 graduate of Washington College, and I've been a county employee since 2011, so going on over 13 years now. Before I start, I want to start by saying I'm certainly not anti-dog in any way. I'm not anti-horse. I'm not anti-fox chasing. In fact, a family member of mine was at one time very involved in this hobby in Fauquier County, Virginia. So that's not the case whatsoever. Just want to clear the air of that. While I'm not anti any of these things, I am pro-person. I am pro-peace and quiet. I am pro the way my neighborhood is currently. I live in East Kentfield, have lived there for almost a year and a half, and I love the peace, the quiet, and I'm very concerned that if this motion were to move forward, if this kennel were to become an actuality, that could greatly alter not only the peace and quiet of my life, but also those of my family and my neighbors around me. That right off the bat is my opinion, but I'm going to back that up with facts. I'm not an expert whatsoever in fox kennel hounds or noise ordinances or the science of audiology, how noise travels, so I did research and I'm going to present my findings to you here this evening. And Mr. President, if I get long-winded, I apologize, but this is something I find very important, so I might run slightly over if that is okay.
For the record, I'm going to object to this. As he already stated, he's not an expert in this and is presenting this, but just for the record.
Well, we're going to hear him out and let him talk.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, I'll read you a couple quotes. First, from the American Kennel Club. I would believe they would be experts on this matter, an article entitled American Foxhound. The quote from them directly, how often this breed vocalizes, whether it's with barks or howls. While some breeds will bark at every passerby or bird in the window, others will only bark in particular situations. They graded it as a 5 out of 5 on the American Kennel Club barking scale. I have the source for that as well. From WebMD, in an article entitled What to Know About English Foxhounds. And quote, American foxhounds are famous for being vocal. They are known for their musical bark, also called a bay. The bay can be heard for miles, unquote. Then another quote, American foxhounds are best raised in a spacious country setting with room to run and howl, unquote. I have a source for that if you'd like to see it. From Pet MD in an article entitled American Foxhound, quote, American foxhounds are highly vocal dogs. In addition to barking and howling, hounds are specifically known for their ability to bay. Baying is lower and deeper than howling and carries a greater distance," unquote. And another quote from the same article. "Here are some questions to consider before adding an American foxhound to your family. Number 1, am I okay with having a more talkative dog? Number 2, do I live in a home where baying could occur without bothering neighbors?" Unquote. And last quote I will read for you at the moment. This is from Pet Insurance Quotes in an article entitled "American Foxhound, Everything You Need to Know." Quote, "Just like any typical hound, they have musical voices. They'll bay and howl well into the night, so listening regularly to a dog regularly to a dog concert is just part of the deal when getting this pet," unquote. So these initial articles that I found caused me to dig deeper. So they're talking about these dogs potentially being loud barkers. Well, what exactly does that mean? Found an article from Purdue University, which studied the effect on noise on the actual dogs themselves, dogs in kennels. And while this does not directly affect my argument here today, this article did have some valuable information. This is a quote from said article, again, from Purdue University. "Most noise in dog kennels is produced by dogs," Sales et al., 1997 study, "have reported that the bark of a single dog can reach 100 decibels, and recorded sound levels can range between 85 and 122 decibels in kennels. Barking by one dog may become a self-enforcing behavior and may also stimulate other individuals to vocalize further," unquote. That's the end of the quotes. I appreciate you bearing with me. If I could, please, gentlemen, direct your attention to the, should be page 3 in the binder that I provided. So these first two pictures are overhead images of Barrett Farm Road, East Kentfield, and the proposed site for the kennel. You'll notice in the first picture, the kennel is in the center of the red circle. And then I've included rings branching out at 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet, 2,500 feet, 3,000 feet, and 3,500 feet. The picture that follows is just a more zoomed-in version that focuses more on the East Kentfield neighborhood and its potential, the potential effects on East Kentfield. So I took the information that was provided, or that I located from the Purdue University study regarding the, potential decibels being caused by a single dog barking. Said a single dog bark can be up to 100 decibels. Further research I did that if you were to combine two dogs barking at 100 decibels each at the exact same moment, this wouldn't double that decibel amount. It would add approximately 3 decibels to it. And as you continue to double the amount of dogs, this number compresses to the point where after approximately 125 decibels is reached, it doesn't get any louder. So we're absolutely maxing out, worst case scenario, at approximately 125 decibels is based on what I was able to find. So looking at these maps, and then on the next page in the binder, you'll see a chart that I made, and the calculator that I used to make these computations is sourced at the bottom, if anyone would like to follow up on it. And so the first chart shows the amount of noise pollution that would occur at the different variables on the map if a number of dogs were to bark at the same time and create a noise that was 100 decibels loud. So let's just, for the sake of argument, say it's one dog that's very loud. It barks at 100 decibels all by itself. None of the other dogs, up to 40 dogs in the kennel, bark with this dog. This one dog barks by itself. So moving out from the center of the ring at 1,000 feet out, this volume would have dropped to approximately 40 decibels. So significant drop out to 1,000 feet. At 1,500, it would be just over 35 decibels. At 2,000 feet, 34, and so on, down to approximately 29 decibels at 3,500 feet away from the origin of the noise, from the kennel. So you might be asking, well, what do these decibels mean? And some examples for this is your 30 40 to mid-30 decibel range was described as a light to medium snoring. So are we talking about deafening noise? No, we're absolutely not. But we are talking about something that is that is able to be heard at a great distance away. And if it's continuous, could certainly be of great annoyance, great intrusion into daily life. Moving out to 3,500 feet, it drops below 30, and research I was able to find would be approximately somebody whispering in your ear. So again, not deafening by any stretch of the imagination, I fully admit that, but still enough to draw your attention and, in my opinion, to be annoying. Now, the second chart I have is if the sound produced were to be 122 decibels. This 122 was the max volume that the Purdue University study provided, and was provided to both of you gentlemen. So, from 1,000 feet at 122 decibels, it drops down to 62 decibels. And again, the source for this, the calculator that was used, is provided on the sheet. 62 decibels is approximately the same volume as an alarm clock. So 1,000 feet away from this source of volume, from this source, is approximately the volume of an alarm clock. Drops down to 59 decibels at 1,500 feet, 56 at 2,000, 54 at 2,500, 52 at 3,000, and 51 decibels at 3,500 feet. And 35 decibels is the approximate volume of a normal conversation that a group of people would have in a room. So again, at 3,500 feet, over half a mile, this isn't deafening, but you can absolutely hear it. And if you were to look at the map, the zoomed out map, the outermost ring, that is 3,500 feet from center, and you'll see all the homes that it encompasses, including some homes across Still Pond Creek on Wymont Park Road. So, excuse me. So looking at the total number of homes that could potentially be affected by 100 decibels or higher volume, a conservative number is 50 homes. And I arrived at this, if you look at the overall map, 2 homes fall within the initial red zone, 4 in the ring out of that, then 6, 10, 17, 6, plus potentially 12 on on the other side of Still Pond Creek Road. So I'm sorry, sir, did you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So while my main concern, full disclosure, is myself and my family's happiness and peace of mind, quiet, this could potentially have a very big effect, a much larger effect than even I would have thought of initially when I started diving into this. And again, I came into this with an open mind. As I said previously, I have no animosity towards this sport whatsoever. I just worry that these dogs are going to be pack animals, are going to be loud, and are going to cause more noise pollution than maybe some people realize. That's my main concern, why I come before you this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I think you've given a very detailed report on with all your research. So.
Yes, sir. And also, if I could add, in my career, I've been intimately familiar with numerous cases. I don't have an exact number, but barking dogs, potential noise ordinance violations, which the county does not have. So if you call 911 about a barking dog, there's not a whole lot for law enforcement to do to enforce that. Obviously, try to find the owner, try to get the dog inside. There's remedies to it. But if this were to be an issue where, let's say it was louder than even I thought it could potentially be, there's, as far as I know, no recourse to stop this, to quell this. Once the plug's out of the jug, I don't know of any remedy, at least not me, where we could, or the county or whoever, the HOA could take some sort of action to try to force the club's hand to remedy the situation. And Could be wrong about that, but there are, to my knowledge, I don't know of any such way to do that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Glenn.
Mr. Teller, can I present this to the Commissioner? Thank you, for the President, Mr. Price. So, good evening, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you for having us first off. My name's Ryan Glenn. I'm a lifetime resident with Kent County. I was born and raised in Rock Hall, and here recently, within the past year, I moved into Wharton off the Homestead View community. When I first caught wind of this, full disclosure, I am a hunter. I do, waterfowl, deer, turkey, everything, and I'm not opposed to this business endeavor whatsoever. But it does really hit close to home for a few reasons. Like I said, we live in the Homestead View community directly across from Barrett Farm Road, which is an earshot away from this farm in particular. I know exactly where it is. I have a few major concerns, and of the concerns that I have should be of top level or is safety. Is safety for the families, the children, everyone in that community. My wife and I, we have two young daughters who are 6 and 3, and we also have a little dog. His name's Sadie. She's a small cavapoo and actually looks like a fox. We commonly, my little girls and I, we always walk down Barrett Farm Road with Sadie. One, for me to give my little girls some responsibility in caring for their dogs, and 2, to give their mom a break for a little bit. So we walk down that road all the time, and at the end of the day, I understand these animals are trained, but at the end of the day, they're still animals. What if we're one to get away and break loose, as history will possibly repeat itself, and attack either my dog or my little girls? I have a huge problem with that. That's extremely personal, and I do not take that lightly whatsoever. And I know dogs attack because I am a paramedic of 15 years, and I've responded to numerous dog attacks, one of which in 2019, a dog killed its owner by biting its throat and taking out its jugular, and she bled out. So I've seen the effects of dogs, and it's really personal to me, and it's more personal because it's the safety of my family at stake. The articles I looked immediately when I found out that this was coming to fruition, possibly in our community, I immediately Googled, just like everyone else does in the world, for foxhound attacking domesticated animals, which our dog Sadie is very small and very vulnerable, who is always accompanied by my little girls. And I found numerous dog attacks of cats and dogs in particular from the time frames of 2021 to 2023. And the information is cited as I gave to you previously. So that's kind of all I have. It's more so of a main safety concern. And like I said, my presentation is as in detailed as Mr. Maloney's, but it comes from the heart, and I don't want anything to happen to my children. And like I said, they're animals. You can't predict what they're going to do. So that's all I have, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Forgive me for the I don't know what I have the last name, but it's Jeremy. Oh, I'm sorry. Jeremy.
How are you, Mr. Fithian, Mr. Price?
Good.
Good. 12069 Galena Road, Massey, Maryland. I am a member of the Wycomico Hunt Club, and I'm here in support of the application. I am a planner by training and a planning director. Just a few things to point out, having worked as a planner here in the state of Maryland. Under state law, one of the reasons this came about is in the Resource Conservation District, commercial enterprises are generally not permitted. This is really an accessory agricultural use. This is not a commercial kennel in the sense of a puppy mill where you're having customers coming in and out on a regular basis. and dogs are being sold and bred on a regular basis for sale and commercial sale. So it's an important distinction to make from a planning perspective in terms of differentiating it from other commercial kennels. The other point, to be able to make is, the sport of fox chasing, the sport of fox hunting. Mr. Hubbard had hounds here in Kent County, as you well know, for well over 50 years. And the sport has been here for more than 2 centuries here in Kent County. But I think one of the very important things to consider is that these hounds are specifically trained to only go after the fox. Okay, and if you go out hunting with us, I mean, these hounds are incredibly quiet. They're bred and they're trained to be quiet and to only to bark and raise their voice when they catch the scent of a fox, and only when that. So if you actually were to go on a farm where we're actually out fox chasing, you're not going to hear them. In most instances, unless they're actually on the scent. And that's a very important distinction compared to a regular household pet, which is not trained, and they're going to bark at anything that walks by or anything that may come in the neighborhood. So I just want to make that distinction for you. It's a very important distinction in my view. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, that is the end of the people that have signed up. Is there anyone that wanted to take just a minute and that might have forgot to sign or something? I'm going to open it up for just a couple more people here.
Thank you, Mr. Fithian. I actually signed in afterwards after listening to the presentation. I don't have anything to present. My name is George Lees. I actually reside at 12169 Homestead View Road in Wharton, right across the street, and I actually have the opportunity to walk down Barrett Farm Lane quite a bit walking our dog. So I just had a couple questions that I wasn't sure about from the presentation, either side. The letter from council, Ms. McFarlane, identifies the Wicomico Hunt Club desires to move its kennels to Kent County to perpetuate the sport. I understand that there's a new huntsman running it, but I don't know if there was other factors that weighed in on why the move is occurring. I.e., was there a nuisance or some other issues that is resulting in the desire to move? I don't know that issue is fully fleshed out or addressed. I'd be interested to hear on that matter. The other thing I heard was about walking the dogs. I know I walk down there, I walk my dog on a leash. I didn't hear anything about how these dogs are going to be exercised. Are they going to be leashed? Are they going to be running as a pack? I'd be interested to hear kind of some information on that. Quite frankly, to help formulate kind of whether I even have a position, quite frankly. And I think that's information that the community would like to know as well. The other thing is I heard reference to attempting to increase the number of members in the club. Obviously, membership is always a good thing, perpetuating a sport. I myself am a duck hunter, deer hunter, so outdoors is not something I'm opposed to. But the question I have is, as the membership increases, does that then also result in an increase in the number of dogs that are being kenneled? Again, the number that's being discussed right now is a number of 40 dogs, but as membership increases, is there a conceptualization or a plan that the number of dogs being kept is going to increase? I don't know that issue was addressed as well. The only other thing that I did, quite frankly, have some concerns about, and I'm actually an attorney by trade, that hadn't been obvious by some of the way I was phrasing some of my questions and concerns, but the way that the home rule is being written and being proposed is it is going to allow within, and I'm trying to find it, 200 feet of any side or rear lot line or an existing building. So what I'm reading into that, quite frankly, is an automatic grandfathering of any existing structure is eligible for this, regardless of its proximity to a lot line. And that's a concern for me, quite frankly, because if we get into a situation where we have a property that has a existing structure that is the subject of a variance, having just recently completed building a house, I know all about setbacks and lot lines and so forth. An existing structure that's non-compliant is now a permitted facility. And so if you have a 20-acre parcel that butts up to a subdivision or to another, Kent County has done very well, quite frankly, in limiting some of the development that we're seeing in Middletown. But a 20-acre parcel that butts up and a structure that's existing is non-conforming, i.e. it's within 15 feet or 20 feet of a property line, but it's an existing structure, that would be automatically permitted under the proposal as written. So there's no way to carve out or limit an existing structure from being deemed acceptable. And that is a concern for me, quite frankly, because one of the applications today is adding a facility or adding a structure that is now encroaching 5.3 feet within the critical zone, within the 15 feet. And so if that is permitted, that facility gets converted to, or that structure gets converted to a dog kennel, it's now within 25 feet of a property line just because it's on 20 acres. And so I'm not opposed to the 200 feet. My concern, quite frankly, becomes the or existing structure language that's allowing it to be utilized for this type of use without there being any further review or a variance or some sort of evaluation on a case-by-case basis. And so I'd be a word of caution and, quite frankly, maybe in opposition to the or existing structure language. I'm not saying that this structure shouldn't be permitted, but I think that there should be if it's less than 200 feet, there should be a separate review for that. And that would be my only notation on that issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I understand you correctly, and I'm not an attorney,
Uh,
but you're suggesting that the text amendment should maybe require an additional review through a variance.
If it's an existing building, sir, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Only because, if you're grandfathering, in essence, pre-approving any existing structure, then are you running the risk that you have a structure that was otherwise non-conforming?
I certainly understand I understand the point you're making.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna-
that's a concern, is what are you allowing without realizing what you're allowing? So,
Carla, how would you answer that? Does he have is it something, is it a concern? Is it, because I'll be quite honest with you, look, that was one thing when it was read, that I thought, an existing building, it doesn't say that it's gotta be. I think when you said this one was 100 feet away from the property line.
I believe that's
Something like that. But suppose it was 10 feet, then I heard that as well, but, so that is something we could consider.
That is something we could consider.
I got you. Thank you.
The other two questions that you had, one was, and I intend to ask the applicant this, is why they're relocating from Queen Anne's to Kent, if there was an issue or a problem. And the other one was how, and she touched on it a little bit, how she was going to exercise the dogs, but didn't really, maybe we just need a little more information about that.
Commissioner Price, my other thing was, as far as the number of dogs, if membership in the club increases, does the number of dogs increase? And it's just
Membership goes up, or dogs, are we going to go from 40 to 60?
that's it. And I appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Good questions, thank you.
You want to come up and try to answer 2 or 3 of those questions, please?
Yeah, there are a couple things that I'd like to address. Certainly, these are all valid concerns. Thank you for coming and expressing those. A few things to touch on. First of all, these are not American foxhounds. These are not English foxhounds. They're a very special breed called Penn Meridell foxhounds. They're bred specifically for this area. The coolest thing is they have webbed feet so they can get through the marshes. They are not pets, as the American Kennel Club, I believe, was the source that was cited, states. And while, understandably so, they'll be vocal if they're by themselves and a family dog on a couch. I know Utah likes to voice her opinions from time to time, and I'm sure Buster does too. But when they're worked heavily like they are, because they're working dogs, and they're trained to the level that they're trained, they're not sitting at a window barking all day. And Eden can certainly testify further to this. Another thing I'd like you to take into consideration while you're weighing the evidence that was presented to you to look at, I don't believe that the noise study that was done contemplated any topography, any walls or insulation or woods or homes that were in the way. As Eden had testified about the plans to keep this insulated, about the woods on 3 sides of it, about it being down in a hollow, and all of these things that mitigate noise, as well as the fact that they are worked foxhounds. They're going to be sleeping most of the time. And certainly, again, I don't want to discount, these concerns because absolutely understood. But we're here to give information. So that being said, another concern absolutely with the dog, walking a dog and 2 little kids and a dog that is much smaller than a foxhound. Eden can testify more about her precautions to keep them contained. I would believe that there'd be a greater chance of the neighborhood dog getting out and coming after than a foxhound. Again, this is Eden's livelihood. This is her absolute job, is to keep the hounds safe because they are valuable to the club, and to keep everybody else safe because from a legal standpoint, and as the advisor of that to the club, they don't want that sort of liability and certainly want to be good neighbors and keep everybody safe so that we can keep doing what we love to do, which is to get out and to fox chase. We certainly understand those concerns. To answer a couple of the questions about why the club is moving, Eden can answer that. And if you want to go ahead and give a...
Sure. So to answer your question, the club is relocating their kennels because our current huntsman is retiring. They have lived at the current space in Centerville with neighbors much closer than neighbors to my own property for 7 years now. And they are not moving because of any problem or contention. It is simply because Marty's retiring and he's not going to have this job
How
anymore.
about the question about when you take them out to exercise, walking them down the road, are they on a leash or are they running loose or?
Sure, they're not on a leash and they're also not running loose. They're very well-trained. They follow me and I would have what we call whipper-ins with us, which are basically people who help just walk alongside. I would not be walking them willy-nilly through the neighborhoods. We typically take them to the farms that we hunt at to exercise them for these long walks. So I'll load them up on the trailer and we drive to these farms and then we walk them and exercise them. They might go on a walk around my farm on my property, but because of their safety and because of my neighbor's peace, I certainly wouldn't be traipsing them around their neighborhood. But they walk in a very organized fashion and their exercise would typically be done somewhere other than my
Was there another question?
farm.
The other question had to do with your desire is to increase your membership and
Oh,
your
right.
involvement. And if that occurs, are we going to see an increase in hounds that are being kenneled there?
Right, no, absolutely not. The pack size would remain at, around approximately 40, give or take, depending on how many are retiring or how many puppies there are. It would not increase.
What is the number of a normal pack of foxhounds that you use for fox chasing?
It depends. Some packs, there are clubs, like Midland down south, for example. They have about 80 couple, which is 160 hounds. We would never have that many hounds. We are a smaller club. We are, just a bunch of locals that like to get together and hang out with our dogs. So
That's a lot of dog food.
it's a lot of dog food. So because of that, because of expenses and because of the size of our fixtures mainly, so we hunt farms that are typically not greater than 1,000 acres. And you can't put that many dogs on that size property. So for many reasons, our kennel size would remain at about 40 hounds.
And if I may just make a point here as well, dog kennels commercial as written is an allowed use, I believe, or it might be a special exception use in residential districts. So having a dog kennel on a 20-acre farm that happens to be in proximity to residences isn't out of compliance with how the code is written, in terms of, noise levels and that sort of thing. Another point I did want to make is that this is a very narrowly drafted text amendment. Wicomico Hunt Club is the only fox hunting club that's sanctioned by the governing agency, the Master Foxhounds Association in North America, that's allowed to hunt this territory, so the whole eastern shore of Maryland and Delaware. So this is only in the RCD. So this is a very narrowly tailored zoning text amendment. So this, I understand the concerns about proximity with existing structures and needing to get variances and that sort of thing. Again, I don't believe that the floodgates are going to open and a bunch of, what do we call them? The outlaw packs are going to pop up in Kent County in the RCD and try to put kennels, in accessory structures. And there's still setback requirements for accessory structures in the Ag District and in the RCD. So it's not going to be right up on somebody's property line. Again, I understand that concern as well. In this instance, this 90 feet is to a property line, but is dense woods, and that neighbor has been, very supportive and had offered a letter in support to the Planning Commission.
All right, listen, I'm good, we're good. You got any more questions?
Just two.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
That has to be with the applicant. The current square footage of the proposed kennel that you're considering, do you know what that is?
I believe it would be 30 by 120, I believe.
360.
Yes.
And my other question would be, a lot of times when we build buildings, and state buildings, county buildings, and so forth, there's a square footage allowable for office space for one person, two people, whatever the case
Sure.
would be. Is there anything out there nationally that dictates what the square footage should be for each dog?
There is
If you know, you may not.
There is a number by the MFHA that has, that is the recommendation. I don't know if Ed Fry is still on the call, but I don't think so, no. Yeah, I don't know the exact number. I could provide you with that.
If you could send that to
Yes.
our office,
Yes, I certainly will. But I know there is a recommendation, and I know the building meets the recommendation, so I'll provide that. I'd also like to touch on the safety concern with other pets and kids briefly, if I may, because I know some of my neighbors were concerned about that. I take that extremely important, because I have a 2-year-old nephew, and my sister's here. He is constantly at the farm, and the safety of my neighbors and their kids and their pets is very important to me. I have seen our hounds see a cat before and run away. They're very unsure about other animals.
How are they scared of a cat and not scared of a fox?
A cat doesn't smell like a fox.
Listen, I'm just joking.
Yeah, so they really work with their noses, and I really don't mean to sound light about it. I do take it extremely seriously. They would not go after a small child or pet. They love people. They're very well socialized. In addition to that, they're very structured. They are not unsupervised, running around. I've seen firsthand dogs that get loose and can injure people, and I am aware that any dog has the ability to bite, and as much as I love them, I treat every dog I come into contact with as such, no matter how well trained they are, and I constantly keep them regimented and contained, and they would not be a threat to my neighbors or their kids or their pets.
Very good. Any other questions? I think we've had a good discussion about fox hunting here tonight, and
I've learned a lot.
yeah, I have too. But, I thank everybody for acting in a very professional manner, and it was a good hearing. We have another one right after this. It's not going to take this long for this next one, I assure you. But as we stated, anybody that wants to write for or against this text amendment can still enter information in, testimony in until the close of business on Friday, which would be 4:30 Friday.
What email address should that be sent to?
Shelley?
Kent County at
That's it, yeah, at kentgov.org.
kentgov.org.
Thank you.
Okay? With that being said, I'll make a motion that we close this public hearing.
I'll make the motion that we close the public hearing for Code Home Rule 9-2024 Fox Hunting Club Dog Kennel, and for the record to remain open until the close of business on Friday, February 7th, 2025.
And I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. This public hearing is ended. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Shelley, do we have an idea when we might be actually voting on this particular?
Yeah, March 4th. And that is because on the next, what would typically be a legislative day, the
Yeah.
18th, there is no meeting. So it will fall to the next legislative day, March 4th.
And for those walking out, whether you heard that or not, the decision will be made on March the 4th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. It's a long hair.
Yeah. The next public hearing we have is Code Home Rule Bill Number 10-2024, introduced by Ronald H. Fithian, President of the Board of County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland. An act to amend the public local laws of Kent County, Maryland by revising Chapter 73, Building Construction, Chapter 192, Housing Standards, and Chapter 210, in order to create a new board in Kent County, Maryland, specifically the Construction Trades Board, which will incorporate the existing Board of Electrical Examiners and its members, while adding additional members to represent other trades and industry sectors, and to provide membership for the Board of Building Appeals as may be needed when an appeal is filed pursuant to the International Building Code. A hearing will be held on February the 4th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in the Commissioner's Hearing Room, Clayton Mitchell Jr., Kent County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. The agenda for the meeting will be published online 24 hours in advance of the meetings at www.kentcounty.com/commissioners/meeting-agenda. Citizens are encouraged to participate in the public hearing process. If you require communication assistance, please contact the County Commissioner's Office at 410-778-4600 and press 4, or visit Maryland Relay at www.marylandrelay.org no later than noon on Friday, January the 31st, 2025. A complete copy of the proposed legislative bill is available in the Commissioner's Office, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. by order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Sandra M. Blackson, Clerk, and it was published in the Kent County News on 1/16/25 and 1/23/25. Carly, you want to come up and,
I believe we need to officially open the hearing.
okay.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing on Code Home Rule 10-2024.
Better late than never, and I'll second.
We're good, we're good.
Anybody in the audience, before we get started, that wants to testify for or against this, stand up and raise your right hand. Okay, well, then we'll do away with that. Carly, you're on.
Okay, so this is, as you read in the public notice, sort of doing away with the Board of Electrical Examiners and kind of reconstituting it as a construction trades board. After the state changed the way electricians are licensed, and we're only doing a registration now, so there is no, the county doesn't give out a electrical licensing test anymore. I think the Board of Electrical Examiners said, well, maybe it's time to kind of reconsider how we operate, and the Construction Trades Board would allow for a better discourse, I think, as kind of new codes come into play as, or are adopted by the state, getting that information out, and also allowing us, as needed, to have the Board of Building Appeals, which is one of those boards that exist, but has not had members for it for a number of years now, and in my knowledge, in 25-plus years, has never had to meet. So hopefully we'll never have to meet again, but at least we would actually have a body of people that could hear those cases if they ever come up.
Okay. This one's going to be quick.
Yep.
Anyone that wants to testify for or against this change, and as she clearly pointed out, we're just taking a couple boards, we're making a board that covers all the trades instead of just an electrical examiner or plumber's board, and putting it all together with expertise from every area. With there being no comments from anybody, then I'll make a motion to
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for Code Home Rule 10-2024 Construction Trades Board, and for the record to remain open until the close of business on Friday, February 7th, 2025. And I'm assuming that we will vote on this on March 4th, along with the other one.
Correct.
yes. All right,
That's my motion.
and I'll second it. All in favor, now we have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it. Now I need a motion to go back into, end the public hearing and go back into open session.
I think we just did that.
I think we just did that. Did we just do that? Yes. We have a lot of motions going on. We're good to go.
And we're dealing with a
We're good then.
new system.
Judge Murphy, you want to add anything about fox hunting before we start?
Yeah, remind the county and the court administrator to never put me on the evening agenda when there's a public hearing scheduled before.
You're being paid well. Your Honor.
Hey, yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Before I turn to what I'm here for, I wanted to give a brief update, if you have a second, on both the basement, which had flooded previously, as you know, and the lobby, which you approved to be renovated and expanded. The basement is almost completed. The company that did the renovations, or what's the word?
Mitigation.
Yeah, the remediation, that's the word I'm
Remediation.
looking for. Did a great job with that part. They also attempted to do the reconstruction part. That did not go. They weren't quite as good at that. But the county employees, Don Teet, Mike Wolf, and Jeremy Francis did an amazing job, and I wanted to compliment them here in your presence for what they did to fix what was not done properly the first time and get it back to an even better condition than it was before. So wanted to compliment them. And the lobby is continuing to progress, not quite done. I'll let you all know when it is, and hopefully you can come take a look at it.
Very good.
With that, while I'm here about money tonight, I'm not here asking you to give the court any money. I've actually come to attempt to return some and to ask for a loan for several other things. I have an MOU, I think, that you all have been submitted. It's the security grant for this year, and it covers 4 main areas. One is for the access control system, which you all approved in advance and already paid for, and I had indicated when I was here previously that the state had told us the MOU would likely reimburse for that, but it had not yet been approved. It has been, so that's part of this MOU. The second part is for an upgrade to the camera system. The recommendation was made through a security review that the state AOC conducted to add some additional cameras to cover some areas that weren't currently being covered. And in order to add the additional cameras, the current system needed to be upgraded or added on to in order to accommodate that. So the second part of the MOU is to cover the cameras as well as an expanded unit to handle them. The third is for some, not balusters per se to go out in front of the courthouse, but some extremely heavy, large concrete planters to go out in that walkway that leads up to the front door. It was also recommended that with the gate being open there and a brick pathway leading right to the front door, that there was some potential danger of a vehicle driving right into the front of the courthouse. So this part of the MOU is to cover the purchase of two, like 1,600-pound concrete attractive planters to go out there to serve the purpose that, you know, cemented into the ground balusters typically serve, but I wouldn't want to put those in there because I know the county also uses that gate to access the front of the courthouse to do work to it from time to time. So I think that vehicles need to be able to get in there, but this would hopefully provide some impediment to them driving full speed into the front of the courthouse. And the fourth is for some bullet-resistant glass to go in a portion of the clerk's office. That had already been approved in a previous MOU, but the bid process was so cumbersome, both from the lack of bids, I think, and other factors, that money never got utilized in the previous grant and is now approved in this one. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have no question. I'll entertain a motion if you have no question.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for security goods and services over $100,000 and up to $500,000 by and between the Administrative Office of the Courts on behalf of the Circuit Court for Kent County and the County Commissioners of Kent County for security enhancements to the Kent County Courthouse not to exceed $106,659.90.
And I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
I was reminded to tell you, there's a Post-it note on there. One place where you're supposed to sign is to be dated, the other place is to be undated until it is executed by everyone involved. Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The word got out.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have a request from the Kent County Public Schools to replace a vehicle.
Yes, and Joe Wheeler was unable to make it at the last minute this evening, so I am going to present this for him. There had been a vehicle that was totaled in an accident that belonged to the Kent County Public Schools. So Enterprise has submitted a quote for a replacement vehicle. We are going to a 2025 Chevrolet Equinox from a 2022 Edge. Unfortunately, there was so much damage to the car, there will not be a trade-in value. The result is an increased monthly payment from $439.92 per month to $685.17 per month. Kent County Public Schools is fully able to absorb this in their budget, and this has already been approved by the Board of Education. So we are just looking for your approval so that they can move forward with purchasing the new vehicle.
Any questions?
I do have one question, whether or not you've heard anything about this or not. I heard just the other day that the schools are looking at electric school buses.
I cannot answer that. I know nothing about that.
I did send the superintendent a email asking him if she could provide me with some additional information. Not that I'm opposed either way, but I am concerned that the maintenance costs might be something that we have to worry about
Good question.
as a funding
Sure.
our schools. So, having said that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the enterprise quote number 8518161 for the purchase of a 2025 Chevrolet Equinox by the Kent County Public Schools.
I'll second that. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Now, we have the Town of Rock Hall Mayor and Town Manager, you like to come up?
It was probably also chagrined to join us on the night that we had a fox hunting, or a
Oh,
fox
you know,
chase public hearing.
Honestly, that was a little bit more entertaining. We were, talking to ourselves and saying how lucky we have it at times. We don't have to have such controversial issues come before us. I assume that's what the security upgrades were at the courthouse related to that whole controversy in Kent County and the foxhounds issue, because, that's.
Must be.
Exactly.
Well, welcome.
Welcome. Before we get started, I hear there's a happy birthday in order.
Oh.
I'm not going to sing for you, but I just wanted to put it on the record that.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that, but these
Absolutely.
things are coming way too quick anymore.
You're taking it well. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, right.
But you'll never catch,
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's
you'll
right.
never catch me, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, this is, appreciate you having us here. So this is in follow-up to, we paid you a visit in November, talk a little bit about some of the legislative bond initiatives that we had requested your support on. We appreciate those letters. We since passed those on to District 36, and we'll see what the outcome is in this upcoming budget. I know it's going to be a challenging one, so we'll see where we are with that. One of the updates specifically regarding the filtration system project we discussed. That project is 99.5% complete. We just need to put a roll-up door on our water treatment plant, and we brought them online on last Tuesday, I believe. And just real appreciative that we were able to take that filtration system and install it in our water treatment plant. And
Well, it certainly seems like it's made a difference, because you hear people say how much better it is because of that new filtration system. And as you well know, on Facebook, when it's not right, you hear about that too.
Facebook knows about it before I do, I'll tell you that.
Listen, question for you.
Yes, sir.
As far as us, I think what we agreed to is you're still waiting to see what money you get possibly from the state and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do get some, you'll reimburse us for whatever that amount is. We're absent one of our commissioners. Now, we've already approved it, but when we do something of this caliber, we would like to, is it time sensitive, or can we wait a week and officially do it when all three of us are here?
Bob can better answer that one. I know we had an agreement with the contractor.
We had agreement at the end of completion and approval of the project that we would pay him within 15 days. And we're pretty close to it right now, so.
So I think we may have 1
2
more
weeks,
week.
1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You
So-
what?
I think we've got a little bit of time, as long as we communicate with them, it sounds like.
And as long as we know that there's no issue, we'll communicate with the contractor.
You have any questions, John?
No, I think that you and I both, and I'm pretty sure that Commissioner, Nickerson would agree, we haven't changed our mind on our
No, not
offer to assist Rock Hall.
Appreciate that.
But if there's time, next Tuesday on the 11th, Commissioner Nickerson will be back, and like Ronnie said, when we spend this kind of money,
Understandable.
If possible, we like
If
to
it's
have
possible.
all three of
If
us. If it's not, we'll do it, but if we can wait, and you won't have to come back in here, we'll just
just officially
do it and send it to you.
And miss something like this again? I wouldn't miss it for the world. You know,
Well, we might not have fox hunting again next year.
come up with something better. You have a week.
So it's going to be cats next time, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. No, I think I'm very sensitive to that. I feel like if you make a major move, you want to have all members involved. So I think as long as we communicate with the contractor, I think we'll be A-okay.
Nobody's changed any minds. We're in for this project, and we just like to make sure he's a part of it as well, and I know he is. I mean, if we just nice if all three of us are here to make the motion and approve to move forward with it.
Absolutely.
Okay?
As a minor side note, we did have the director of USDA come down and visit the project. They were really impressed with it. We gave them a little tour. We talked you guys up and said how much you helped us out in supporting us with that project. And they were kind of tickled to death with the whole, trying to get the biggest bang for your buck and really fixing the heart of the problem. So
Yeah.
it was a blessing to have them out there with us.
Well, we still appreciate you coming in tonight, and we we will fix you up next Tuesday.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
And nothing's changed.
I appreciate that.
We're good.
Because I'll tell you what has changed is our water, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
But you can take it to the back.
I should have, you know, I drank it all on the way over here. It was so yummy, I couldn't
drank mine
resist.
on the way into this. Thank you.
All right, well,
other than
good
that,
luck to you
appreciate
with
you having
that.
us here.
Seems like it's going to work out well, and we're glad to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Yes, sir, I recognize you. You're here for the Vietnam Veterans Day celebration.
I am, sir.
You may have to remind me of your name, because I don't have it here in front of me, but please come forward.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Peter Sweetser,
That's what it is, yeah.
and as you both know, because you have attended and supported our Vietnam Veteran Day events for the last 3 years, and this coming March 29th, we are working on having the 4th, possibly the last, possibly because the federal program, the Department of Defense program that you may remember from my presentation last year, which finances the materials, the posters, and all of the things related to these around the country, it ends this year because 2025 is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War period, which was 1975. Went from 1955 to 75, the Battle of Mayaguez was considered the last battle of that conflict. Whether the county, I should say, continues to celebrate national and county, because you had a proclamation last year saying that March 29th would be Vietnam War Veterans Day, continues it, will be determined after this event by the group of veterans organizations in the county. And we could and very much and very easily continue to do that celebration even without the Department of Defense support. What I'm here tonight to ask is if you would be willing to follow up on the generosity that you extended to our celebration last year by granting us $1,000 to pay for primarily the marketing expenses to get the word out to the veterans in Kent County who would be prepared to come forward, be recognized for their service and sacrifice during the Vietnam period. I won't go through the history of why that's an unusual thing, but I think you know, and I think many Americans know, that the veterans coming back from that war, whether they served in country in Vietnam or in combat, was irrelevant. They were treated very badly and with great disrespect. The last 3 years has been eye-opening for anybody who has attended, and I know the two of you have, to see the reaction of these veterans, obviously older men. If they're not in their 70s or 80s, they weren't there.
Right.
Because that's the timing of it. And there were people in wheelchairs and in walkers with extreme arthritis issues who pulled themselves together and recognized something that many of them, even across the country, had not spoken of for the last 50 years. They were angry, they were sad, they were disconcerted at the way they were treated, and so they took off their uniforms, they put the idea and the experience in a box someplace and never spoke about it again. And I can't tell you how many people came up to me after, and even during the years since, saying to me they had no idea that so-and-so or so-and-so was a veteran because they never spoke about it.
Right.
That isn't the case today. Veterans are proud to be veterans today, as is fortunately, our military. This has been a very good thing for our citizens in Kent County. And I hope that you would be willing to again give $1,000 to approximately $2,000 that I spent last year. As I remember telling you in a written document at the end, I reconciled all of the money, your $1,000 and $1,000 I received from the town of Chestertown. And I was within about $350 or so of having spent the money that I was given. And I appreciate the generosity, and I'm here to ask for it again so that we can again try to reach out and find those veterans.
Very good. Well, we're going to take care of that, and then we do have, we have the proclamation. I'd like to read it and present it to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. And did we read that didn't we read that at the ceremony?
You did, the proclamation.
We'll give it to you. You'll make sure it's there for.
I will do that,
Very
absolutely.
good. Now, as far as the $1,000, if there's no questions, I'll
Let's go ahead and
entertain
take
a
care of
motion.
that real quick. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for $1,000 for the cost of the celebration and to be from the contingency funds that we have on hand.
And I'll second that. So got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank
we
you
are
very
honored.
much. And
We're honored to do that for you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it very much. I look forward to seeing you, if your schedules permit, to being there. This year, March 29th is on a Saturday, and so we moved the event from 6 o'clock in the evening, when people could get there during the week, to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We will again have a Marine color guard there from the Marine Barracks in Washington, D.C. at 8th and I, and we're hoping to have an active duty Marine general come and speak to these veterans.
Very
So
good.
we look forward to seeing you if it's possible.
We will do our best to be there.
I thank you
And let
again.
me take a moment to read this proclamation.
Thank you,
to
sir.
It's entitled Kent County, Maryland Proclamation, Vietnam War Veterans Day, March 29th, 2025. And it says, whereas Vietnam War Veterans Day is a day to honor those men and women who have served on active duty in the United States Armed Forces anywhere in the world between November the 1st, 1955 and May the 15th, 1975. And whereas those veterans and their loved ones have made significant sacrifices on behalf of our nation and all its citizens in order to defend the principles of liberty and freedom on which our nation was founded. And whereas many of those men and women who served bravely and faithfully found themselves caught in the divisive and polarizing debate over the war in Vietnam and were thus treated with disrespect and undeserved abuse. And whereas, while no words will ever be fully worthy of their service, let us proclaim that it is never too late to pay tribute to those who answered the call of duty with courage and valor. And whereas, of the names inscribed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., there are 5 from Kent County. We pledge that their ultimate sacrifice and the sacrifice of their families will never be forgotten. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim March the 29th each year as Vietnam War Veterans Day in Kent County and request all citizens to observe this day as a day of remembrance of the debt we owe to all those veterans and their families. Signed, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Ronald H. Fithian, President, Albert H. Nickerson, Member, John F. Price, Member. And it was dated February the 4th, 2025. I think because this is not signed, our absent commissioner is not here, we will keep this and make sure he signs it, and we'll make sure it gets to you for that ceremony.
Thank you very much.
And a question for you while you're, a few years, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but I attended it and I went to it in Easton. They had the wall in Washington with all the names of Vietnam. They had it on wheels and they were taking it around. One of the stops was in Easton and I went there and was part of the ceremony. And I was just wondering, did you remember anything about that or where it might be now or if they still use it?
I don't know, but
But
I
it
will
was
find
it was
out
it was
because
like
I'd
an
be interested.
imitation, like a model of the wall,
Right.
and it was on wheels, and they were taking it from all over the state of Maryland.
To the city.
I don't know, but I'm going to find out.
How about that?
We have, as you may remember, we we have photographs of the 5 KIA, and we have mounted those, and our memorial in the Memorial Park on the Vietnam War side has their names at the bottom of those 5 people. So we do in a small way, but I think it would be very interesting if we could add this traveling exhibit.
Yeah,
And I will find out about that.
I was just wondering whether it's still being used or not, because that's been several years ago. I can't remember exactly how long now, but now it's been
within the
over
past
6
10
years ago, huh?
It's been within the past 10 years.
Yeah. But, and I went to it when they had it in Easton, and I was just curious whether they still had it.
Well, I would hope that they do.
Yeah.
Because as you both remember, last year, after we recognized the families of those 5 Kent County residents who were Gold Star families, and they stepped forward, I think 4 of the 5 had members of the family there. I then asked if there were any other Gold Star families who were in attendance that had nothing to do with the Vietnam War, and there were 2.
How about that?
And if you remember, there was a friend of yours, Commissioner Price, or you knew him, you were standing next to me and said, that's so-and-so, and it was a gentleman, and Oaks, maybe? No, I shouldn't try to guess.
You're really challenging me now with my.
Well, only
I
because
do
I'm
remember
failing
there
myself.
There was a lady that
Yes.
came up.
Yep, but there was a gentleman, and it was his son, and we hadn't seen him before, and he stepped forward, and I think the point I'm trying to make is, we should never forget, because they don't.
Right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and this is going back, I think Jim Wrights, who was an engineer that worked for us for Kent County, I think his wife,
Was involved.
his father or something, was one of those Gold Star. Seemed like, I think she had, so one of our employees, the county employees, I think, I don't know what her maiden name was, but his name was Jim Wright, but his wife's Susan, I think her father or somebody was one of those 5 Gold Star.
Well,
Father
I
or
will
brother or
inquire, because I'd like to know. Thank you
Well, he
again.
was there at the last one we had. He was there. Anyhow, thank you for coming in,
Thank you very much
and
for
we'll do
your
our best to
generosity
try
and
to be
support.
there that day.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you, Peter.
Hey, Ron, it's called The Wall That Heals, and it is still touring.
How about
They
that?
are still touring?
Yes.
The wall that they healed,
The Wall That Heals.
thank you very much.
It's touring all over the country, from Florida to California.
Really? Okay. I knew it was a traveling wall, but I didn't know whether,
I was thinking it was nationwide, not
I
just state.
saw it in
Huh.
North Carolina.
Huh.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
just
wow.
found that too. What I just found says that they're going to be in New Windsor, Maryland in October.
they're going what?
They're going to be in New Windsor, Maryland in October, from what I just read.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well,
All right,
good
Jim,
evening.
you're up.
Yes, sir. Have one item for you this evening. As you know, at the last meeting, we celebrated the retirement of Brian Foreman as the Chief Code Enforcement Officer. So I'm here this evening to ask for a conditional offer, to make a conditional offer of employment to his replacement. You have all the paperwork, I believe, from, at least Sandra told me I may have gotten this one right and put the paperwork in correctly, but she fixed it. I'm still getting used to the new system. I barely got the other one straight in my head, and now Sandra's changed it just to make me crazy.
She's keeping you on your toes.
God. But, you know, it's like she's got like a full-time job trying to keep me straight. It's really sad. So you have the information about the candidates that we reviewed and the ones we interviewed and the unanimous recommendation that came forward. Carla happens to still be here tonight, and she was on that panel. Happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions, and I would like to just say quickly that this particular individual, I think, is very, very qualified, and it's also nice to see that the position's being filled after it being open and transparent. it's being filled by someone who's coming up through the ranks. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended candidate at the proposed rate for the identified vacant position.
And I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you,
Very
gentlemen.
good. County Administrator.
Okay, thank you. I would like to go off script first, just to let you know that our local bill that is entitled School Construction Local Cost Share Alterations has been, we have numbers for it and we have a hearing in the House. This is House Bill 736, Senate Bill 843, and this is the bill that is very similar to the one that was introduced last year that would help Kent County pay for a new middle school. And we did find out that the hearing is, fortunately or unfortunately, next Tuesday afternoon. Fortunately, because we have a bill hearing and it's soon, and unfortunately, because we already have a work session, 2 work sessions scheduled for that afternoon, doing county business. So, if anybody would prefer to spend the day with the legislators in Annapolis, please let me know and we can sign you up to testify. And otherwise, I'm requesting a letter of support be sent on behalf of Kent County so that it can be filed with the record.
Well, I think the meeting, the workshop meeting and our commissioners meeting are important that we be here for that. And I don't have a lot of heartburn by asking you to draft a letter to the folks there and maybe for it to be read and made a part of the record, indicating that we would love to have been there to show our support, and we do support it, and just like we did last year.
Yep, sounds good.
I
And just,
thoroughly support the project. We all do. And this is no reflection on the project, but I would rather have a stick stuck in my eye than have to go to Annapolis and testify.
let the
It's-
record reflect.
It's just for 3 minutes, and don't go past it or they'll call you out, and to go right all over there and park, that's just a terrible system. And I bet you it's a lot of people feel just like I do too. I don't know whether they go quite as far as say put a stick in their eye or something, but I think I would. I just, any way we can get out of that and get the job done, I'm all for it.
Looks like somebody stuck you anyhow already.
I don't know what's going on there.
Got a little Band-Aid on your face.
I know.
So, I guess I'd like to make a motion that we draft a letter in support of the House Bill 736 and share why we're not there and that we totally support.
And I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. We are diligently watching all the bills as they are dropped. Our consultant has sent me a list of 40 or 50 bills that I'll be reviewing at my earliest convenience, stuff that she feels as though we may be interested in at least following, so there'll be more reporting out on legislation.
And as you probably know, there was one bill, can't remember the number now, but it's so ridiculous. I just couldn't help but not respond to it.
One bill?
Well, there's been a couple, but one that I just had to respond to. So, yeah, we are watching what's going on very, very closely. And
It had something, was it the one that had to do with law enforcement?
it did.
I've read it.
In other words, if you can go in front of a police officer, you can throw the letter out your window and he or she can't stop you.
Right. Don't stop them for turn
Headlight.
signals out, headlights.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
To me, they have a lot more serious things to be concerned with than that foolishness.
I totally agree.
Anyhow,
Absolutely.
don't get me
It's
started.
fast and furious in Annapolis right now, so if there are any letters of opposition or support you want us to send, just let us know.
Well, there's a couple of bills that I'm a little concerned about. It has to do with energy. I don't know whether folks have gotten their recent electric bills, but mine more than doubled. And I keep my house at 68 and sit there, believe it or not, with a blanket to
That's
watch
hot for you.
TV.
It's balmy.
Well, I get a little cool in the evenings. And, but I mean, my bill took us by surprise. And from what I've read on Facebook and some other sites, it's not unusual. And as a result of that, they think that they're trying to fix things, but they've identified that the Public Service Commission, which, in my opinion, has forced things down our throat, overriding some of our local zoning, not to our liking, which is a state-run appointed board and judge and so forth. Even though we've challenged it, we've always lost. They are also looking at, they now know that maybe solar, from what I've read, is not as effective and efficient as they once thought.
How about that?
So now they're looking at nuclear reactors as a option. And if you're, and I'm not an expert on the nuclear reactors, but I do believe that it requires a water source to keep it cool.
Most
And
definitely.
If I had to venture to say, the Eastern Shore and maybe Southern Maryland might be targeted for those projects, which actually concerns me.
Years ago, they made an attempt to put one on House Point,
Really?
right up there to, remember? And I mean, that's going back a ways. I remember Glennie Edwards was a county commissioner at the time. That's how I know about it. And one of the things they raised, well, the Watermen all raised a devil because House Point's right there where the rock feet, one of the best spawning areas in the bay. And they felt like it would do away, it would hurt the spawning. I mean, those young fish and it would change the water temperature to some degree, cooling it. Anyhow, they shot it down, but it was an attempt to put one right there at one time.
So I think it's something that we should keep our ear to the ground on. You know, I understand this is part of the governor's agenda, and Senator Brooks from Baltimore County is very active in this legislation. It doesn't sound good.
We will keep our.
Now, that certificate of appreciation you got there, that we're gonna have to get Albert's signature on that too, and then.
Albert's already signed this,
Oh, did he sign that one? Okay.
but I don't think there's anyone here to receive it. Do you want it read
No.
into the record?
Only if you feel strongly to do that.
If you want to read it into the record,
I'll
that's fine.
try. You know, it's got some tricky words in it.
I'm sure we can do worse.
It could be abridged.
So next is the certificate of appreciation. This is to certify that the illustrious Thomas C. Napper is hereby recognized for the service during the year 2024 as Potentate Boomy of Boomy Shriners. As Potentate, you led the effort in supporting and raising money for the Shriners Children Healthcare System and led the involvement of Boomy in local activities on the Eastern Shore. Such commitment and loyalty are admired and well respected by all those who have had the honor of working with you. We, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, thank you for your continued devotion, dedication, and public service to Kent County and the community. Signed, the Kent County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Ronald H. Fithian, President, Albert H. Nickerson, Member, and John F. Price, Member, and is dated February 4th, 2025. And it's my understanding that this will be presented at a meeting later at their choosing.
I don't know if they'll be back, but.
The
we're-
Shriners.
We plan on sending it on.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, that's what I
I-
understand.
there's- Yeah, we'll
Very
send it on. Absolutely. So, and there is one other item on the agenda, and this also has to do with the bay.
Oh, that resolution.
It has to do with the Conowingo Dam and dredging. Several of the Eastern Shore counties in particular are banding together to raise awareness once again over the Conowingo Dam issues and the fact that there is no more capacity for dredge spoils as the sediment washes downstream in the Susquehanna. So we do have a resolution for your consideration to forward to those who hopefully will hear our pleas of, helping move this initiative along.
So you want a motion to that effect? All right.
That would be
Did-
great.
Did we, I
We've looked at the
I thought we did, huh?
We've already looked at the resolution. earlier.
Yes, yes. Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-01, Comprehensive Upper Chesapeake Bay Sediment Management Plan as presented.
I'll second it. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Now, public comment. And, John,
There's literally one public left.
you're at the front of the line, son.
At the front of the line.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a month. Monday, I'm leaving.
Where are you
For
going?
you.
Hawaii.
Oh, good for you.
Nice.
That's one of those bucket things I want to spend February in.
Oh, that's great.
Good for you, John.
That's wonderful.
Back then, I got married in 1975. You do the math.
There you go.
You got married to commemorate the first Saturday Night Live, didn't you? Yes.
Now, this is a big one, then. It's 50 years.
50 years. Yeah.
Well, John.
People didn't think we'd make it 5.
You showed them.
Okay, well, good luck to you. I hope you enjoy yourself. I'm sure you will. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Got a motion and a second.